Reviews, reviews, reviews. Why reviews are important. Do you ever shop online, say at the mighty Amazon, for example? I'll admit, as busy as my life is, I'm kind of addicted to it. I can find dozens of choices, colors, and patterns, as well as competitive prices, all delivered right to my door. What's not to love about that? Another thing I love about it is, when in search for a product, I can clearly see the established, well-loved products which have tons of high reviews. I will choose an item that has 4,000 plus positive reviews over something that has, say, 19. The numbers matter, and so do those stars. And while they can buy reviews on places like the great and powerful Amazon, it is far more difficult to do so in places like Airbnb or VRBO. For every review posted, at least one person has stayed at that property and, hopefully, enjoyed it enough to post a review about it. It is social proof that you have a place worth considering, and it's really nice to get reviews like this one. Tori said, "Wow, just wow, Christine's place is amazing. It's an older neighborhood with charm, but when you enter the home, you are in a whole new world. Christine literally thought of everything. I felt like maybe Mary Poppins lived there because every time I thought of something I needed, poof, it was there. No need or want left unmet. Even when I wasn't sure how to use the vintage items, poof, there was a framed note with instructions on how to use it. No need to dig through cupboards to search for what I needed, because they were beautifully labeled with contents. The beds were very comfortable, and they'd even left a little note about possible city night noises, along with an individually wrapped pair of earplugs by each bed. See? They thought of everything. We were traveling with a dog, and they even had a bed in the living room, a kennel in the laundry room, and a basket of dishes and such in the kitchen. What a great stay! I highly recommend it." This kind of review, where they are gushing over you, that's pure gold right there. It tells other potential guests several really important things, such as, I thought of everything. I care about my guests' comfort. I made it easy for my guests to find what they need. I even thought about their pets. I channeled my inner Mary Poppins. If you read that review, would you want to stay at Cottage West? Or would you rather go to a Comfort Inn? That was a rhetorical question, by the way. That guest just sold my next 5 guests on Cottage West for me. I don't have to say a thing. Well, maybe a thank you for such a lovely review. And while I'm beating my drum, here's another amazing review. Joanne said, "Christine's place was wonderful, as was she. She truly has the gift of hospitality, and it was evident in all of the little welcoming touches. In a world of increasing connectivity and instantaneous reporting, a review can make or break your business. That said, I would caution you to not let yourself get so wrapped up in reviews that you lose your mind over a 4-star or less review. Do not allow yourself to fear the occasional negative review because eventually, no matter how good you are, you will get one, whether it is warranted or not. And when the scammers come along, making up issues where there aren't any, yes, this will happen. Don't be so afraid of a critical review that you refund their money. More on this later. How to ask for reviews. Not every guest is going to leave a review for you, and that is perfectly okay. It isn't required of them, just as it isn't required of you. I faithfully leave reviews on nearly all of my guests. More on that later. And I gently ask for reviews while wording that request carefully. You can see my request for a review in the highlighted section of the automated checkout message below. For those of you listening, it reads, "We hope you had a 5-star stay. Please don't forget to review. We are also very open to private feedback on how we can improve the space for your return visit in the future." Notice I haven't directly asked for a 5-star review. I've merely stated that I hoped they had a 5-star stay. This is an important distinction. It says, I've done whatever I can to make the stay as perfect as possible. I hope you agree. And this has been the perfect mix of verbiage for us. We are encouraging them in the nicest way possible to give us 5 stars without demanding it, and we are guiding them toward giving us any true feedback via the private feedback section. I've also added the suggestion to keep any constructive feedback in the private feedback section. Why private feedback? Well, encouraging private feedback versus public. Why is asking for private feedback important? Look at these 2 reviews. The first review is from Denise. Her public review states, "My 18 and 21-year-old kids and I come to KC every 3 months at least. We will never stay elsewhere. This truly felt like home immediately. The level of detail in both labeling and what you might need or enjoy is absolutely incredible. Christine has outdone herself. She and Dave were super responsive, welcoming, and easy to work with. The little touches from charging cords to personal notes in the books, from the fun, quirky signs to the history of this property. From a crate and dog bed, there was nothing left to want." In the private note she wrote, "This old back would love a firmer mattress. I've yet to find anywhere away from home. I'm a huge ice user. Just FYI, all the ice trays were empty. A freezer tray bucket might come in handy. I have a spare if you want one. We so look forward to coming back. You've really thought of everything." Here Denise has written an amazing public review. She has also let me know, hey, I found your mattresses a bit too soft, and you really need to monitor the ice trays or have a full ice bucket. I immediately ordered an ice bucket for the freezer on Amazon and resolved to check the ice trays at each cleaning. It was something I'd gotten out of the habit of during the winter, since I only use ice when it's summer. That's not true of everyone, though, so it makes sense to take 30 seconds out of a cleaning to check on that. Let's look at Reed's review now. Public review. 5 stars from us for this stay. Christine's home was wonderfully appointed in a convenient location not far from the heart of Kansas City. Loved all the fun touches in the home, and that it retained lots of original details like the distressed wood floor and clawfoot tub. Off-street gated parking was appreciated, as well as having a side yard to take the pups out for potty breaks. Thanks again for opening your home to us, Christine. Private note. All was swell with the stay. A couple of notes for potential areas to look into. We slept in the bed to the left, the tall bed frame. The mattress frame seemed to cave in the middle, so we'd find ourselves migrating that direction when sleeping. I heard some sounds in the bedroom in the early AM that were reminiscent of a recent experience we had at our cabin in Mount Rainier, where a little mousy visitor was scratching wood inside the walls. Not sure if that was what we heard at your place, but may be worth setting some traps in the attic and doing a walkthrough of the perimeter of the house to scan for potential ingresses. Again, all in all, a wonderful stay. Thanks again for opening your home to us." Another lovely 5-star review for the public to read, but Reed echoed Denise on the mattress concerns and let me know we might have a mouse problem. Yikes! It actually turned out to not be mice, but a far bigger problem. The brick facade was buckling out and away from the house, allowing a gap between the wood frame and brick wall. Local birds took advantage of this and nested between the wood and brick facade. Not mice. Nevertheless, I'm glad for that feedback. We got it fixed before it became a real problem. Here's what I love about these private notes, and it goes back to my belief that most people are kind and want others to succeed. Treat them right, and they will return the favor. Both Reed and Denise wrote fantastic, kind, and thoughtful 5-star reviews of Cottage West. However, they wanted me to know about things they felt needed improvement. Not just for their return stay, but for others who would come after them. And while you can't always go out and buy a new mattress based on a couple of reviews, it is worth putting toward the top of your wish list for future improvements. I asked for their feedback, and they gave it. It's now up to me to improve the property in the small or big ways that they have suggested. Private feedback gives a fair amount of grace to a host. The guest can say, hey, you need to improve or fix this, and it isn't a public shaming. Instead, it is constructive criticism. Yes, there really is a place for constructive criticism. Encourage your guests to help you improve as a host through the use of private feedback and try to be open to what they have to say. Remember, you don't need to change something just because one person complains. I recently had someone complain about the microfiber towels being uncomfortable. This is the first review I've had that has complained about them. And until I hear more, I won't run out and buy different towels when it might not be an issue for anyone else. And remember, you can't please everyone. You're not a taco. Posting reviews on guests. Reviews are not a one-way street, and I encourage you to write a review on every guest you host, whether they respond in kind. Why posting reviews on guests is important. Reviews are just as important for guests as they are for hosts. They are, again, social proof of who you will be hosting. A stranger is coming into your home. Are they trustworthy? Will they be respectful of your property? Are they a nightmare guest, i.e. demanding, high maintenance, destructive? Will they smoke in your non-smoking property? Others are depending on you to help them decide on whether to allow someone into a property they have worked hard on and usually invested thousands of dollars, if not more, into. What's important and what isn't. I've seen some pretty detailed reviews from hosts. Agonizing detail, in fact. This guest broke 3 of our 15 rules. They ate in the bed. There were crumbs everywhere. Used every towel in the house. Didn't wash all the dishes, and the ones he did were not washed correctly, and there was sticky residue on all surfaces. He also refused to use the coasters and left wet glass rings everywhere. They did not strip the bed per our checkout rules. The trash was overflowing, and they shaved and left hair all over the bathroom. These details, while important to this host, are unnecessary. Everyone has varying levels of cleanliness, and they may be starkly different from your own. As someone who ran a cleaning business for over 15 years, I understand this far better than most. I've seen the insides of people's houses when they didn't remember you were coming to clean. And let me tell you, the complaints above are nothing compared to what I've had to muck through regularly. Digging into the weeds and listing every sin are hallmarks of a host who does not understand hospitality. Part of hospitality is cleaning up after someone else. No one, and I repeat, no one, needs a list of issues a host had with a guest other than a quick synopsis of the problem. Instead, try something like this. The guest caused significant damage to throw rugs and a comforter and smoked inside of the property. Regretfully, I cannot recommend this guest to other hosts. What do you as a guest want to know about a potential guest? I want to know if there have been any problems, damage, or issues of any kind. Past that, I don't really care if they are overly hairy, prefer horses to people, or if orange is their favorite color. Does this guest have a good track record? Awesome, then they can stay. Will they host a taco party for the maintenance guys? Actual quote from a host review that includes hamburger ground into the carpet and the leasing company canceling the host's contract? Nope, I'll pass. That said, here is a recent negative review I posted on a guest. Timothy and his family stayed for 2 nights. During that time, 2 rugs were destroyed, shredded really. There were broken glass shards inside of the freezer. The damages exceeded the income received from the 2-night stay. I am sorry to report that I cannot recommend this guest to other hosts. One thing I forgot to mention in the review was that he also ignored my request for damages. That would have been an important thing to add. I still received compensation from Airbnb's air cover. Despite that, it should have been noted, since that is something I would want to know as a host. If I host this guest, and he damages items, will he make good on it? Before my review, Timothy had a single positive 5-star review. Now he has 2, with an average of 3.5 stars. Would you host Timothy? Keep it simple. I have a standard review that I send out. It rarely varies. If I have had little or no difficulties with a guest, my review, it goes like this. Name of guest. Was a wonderful guest, and we were happy to host him, her, at the name of the unit. He, she is welcome back anytime. That's it. Short and sweet. Obviously, I add their names and all the other details. Over 99% of my guests receive this and a 5-star review from me. I had a guest the other day who heated something in the toaster oven that caused cheese to drip all over the inside. They still received 5 stars. Yes, I could have knocked them down to 3 or 4 stars for cleanliness, but I chose not to. Unless I'm going to detail it in the review, it simply isn't worth it. Also, I'm happy to have them return, cheese mess or not, as I consider that basic cleanup. How to learn from an inevitable critical review. You will get critical reviews. You will get 4-star, 3-star, even 2-star and 1-star reviews. It will happen. Deserved or undeserved, it does not matter. A critical review is inevitable because we are human and imperfect, and we host other imperfect humans who can also sometimes be jerks. Here are a few examples of how human nature and other unforeseen circumstances may cause a poor review. A mouse gets in through an open door and runs across the room when a guest is there. Your previous guest brought in fruit infested with fruit flies that take a week to completely kill off. The internet goes down. Heck, the power, water, gas goes down. A snowstorm obliterates parking and access to your driveway. You get sick or are out of town and have others fill in and they don't do the job you would do. Things happen. We are in the service industry, so when there is anything less than a stellar performance, heck, often even if you haven't done a single thing wrong, you can receive a negative review. And when these happen, we need to take them in, recognize what is our fault and what is not, and take steps to avoid further negative reviews in the future if, and only if, change is warranted. Occasionally, we can challenge a critical review. Critical review does not mean 4 stars, folks, and I'll talk about that more in a moment. I mentioned the Wi-Fi coupled with the mouse situation in the previous chapter, when things go south. A poor review was expected, and while it stung, I knew it was coming. There were 2 issues, or failures if you will, that caused the guest, and us, frustration. The internet, which is at the far end of the large yard inside our own house, was having trouble supporting all devices. We were in the middle of the first wave of COVID, and not only was I at home, but so was my teen daughter, attending Zoom classes while her school remained 100% virtual, my husband, who provided IT support to around 90 users, myself, and our guests. The smart TV worked fine, but the guest had terrible Wi-Fi reception on their phone while at Cottage West, and in the middle of dealing with that, the guest sent a photo of the mouse and stated that they expected to see a refund of sorts for their stay. I offered to refund them that night's stay and let them find other lodgings. They declined. Because of this, I did not issue a refund. I did not ask what they would consider reasonable. The one time I had done that and issued a refund, I had still received a negative review, even after the guest had named their price and received it. Guests who ask for refunds know that hosts, especially Airbnb hosts, fear their ratings will slip and that they will lose business. The hosts try to pay guests off. And this is the way many guests game the system and end up staying at places for free. They then leave a less than stellar review, publicly cataloging all the problems they encountered, and the host ends up earning less and having a black mark on their record. I had also seen quite the pattern by reading other hosts' posts on several STR Facebook pages I frequented. The guest would demand a refund or some amount back, receive it, and still post the scathing review. No thank you. Instead, I spent $500 purchasing the highest-end Wi-Fi extender I could find, sticky traps, mouse bait, and more to prevent the rodent infestation from continuing. I wanted to fix the problems, not throw money after a guest who would still leave a critical review and never return. I knew I had more than enough positive reviews lined up so that a bad one would hurt, but it wouldn't dislodge my superhost status on Airbnb or lessen my 4.9 star average to a dangerous level. And sure, there was always the chance I was wrong and that the guest would have given me a stellar review if I had refunded their stay, but keep in mind the following. The best advice you will ever receive. I'm going to share with you the best advice I ever received. Back in 2005, I started a house cleaning business. I read up on it, planned how I would offer value to my clients, and began advertising. As I found my first cleaning clients and built my business, it devastated me when one of them broke off the contract abruptly without explanation other than, "It's not working out." I spent days agonizing over what I could have possibly done wrong until my husband's coworker gave me this advice. Don't worry about the clients you lose. Focus on the ones you have. Like I said in the beginning of this chapter, you will get a negative review. It absolutely will happen. Focus on learning from it, fixing and improving what you can, and then let it go. Focus on giving the guests that you have the best possible experience you can. Right before I wrote this last bit, I stopped and sent a message to my current guest at Cottage West. "Hi, Kevin. Just checking in to see how your stay is going. Are you comfortable? Is there anything you need? Let us know if you need any recommendations for dining destinations." Focus on the guests you have now. Be professional. Be kind and friendly, and let all the negative crap go. Seriously, perfection is an illusion. Don't let it keep you up at night worrying. Karma has a way of biting those folks on the ass anyway. How to respond publicly to a bad review. Let's talk first for a moment about what not to say in response to a critical review. Don't escalate, insult, or call names. I had a guest send me a message via Airbnb after checking out. It said something to the extent of, "I woke up with a rash, and I saw a mouse run across the floor. How do you care to respond to that?" Now, by the time I received the message, I was already at the property, which reeked of weed and cigarettes the second I stepped inside. Since our property is non-smoking, and I had seen literally this exact guest message, word for word, splashed across several Airbnb host Facebook sites, with hosts talking about scams that guests will try, I knew I had a dirty player on my hands. Whether she had pulled this crap before, or just been told by a friend to try it to get a free stay, I am unsure, but I nipped it in the bud. I responded with a photograph of a blunt they had neglected to dispose, and responded, I think you should know smoking inside of Cottage West is strictly prohibited and carries a $100 additional cleaning fee. Her response? Oh, yeah, okay, cool. Let's let bygones be bygones. Uh-huh. I never tried to collect on the $100 additional cleaning fee. Instead, I posted a 1-star review of her, and she never reviewed me. Likely because she was kicked off of the platform shortly after that. I saw a host post a reply to someone's poor review and call the guest a liar who posts lies and more lies. If you were a potential guest and saw this, what would you think? The ghost shows no hesitation in calling people names and labeling them. Are we in grade school? After saying the guest is a liar, will that be followed up with the age-old, you have cooties? At worst, there are some serious things wrong with that STR, and you do not want to stay there. At best, the host is overly sensitive to criticism and is unwilling to recognize there may be some improvements needed to elevate her STR to guest expectations. Don't do what that host did. Do not engage a guest in a verbal battle or call someone a liar. Instead, respond professionally and, if you can, with empathy and compassion. If possible, ignore it. When I say if possible, that is with the understanding that after 500 plus reviews, it takes a lot for a negative review to hurt my overall rating. When you look at the listing for Cottage West, you will see raving reviews, so the occasional guest whinging about something that is often out of my control, the neighborhood for example, does not hold a candle compared to all of the positive reviews. However, when you are new, every review is important. We often allow our pride to get wrapped up in it all, and I advise you to fight the urge to respond with anything resembling anger or frustration. Respond calmly and professionally. Consider writing something like this. Thank you. Name for your review. I am so sorry we could not resolve this situation to your satisfaction. I understand that you were frustrated by list issue that upset guest, and I am truly sorry we could not come to a solution that you felt satisfied with. That's pretty generic. There are ways in which you can address the issues the guest had while gently and surreptitiously tossing them under the metaphorical bus. This gives other hosts a heads up on poor actors. I posted this review on a fellow host, one who stayed all of 20 minutes before messaging me and saying that the neighborhood did not feel safe. A few hours later, she requested most of her reservation back, stating that she preferred to keep her feedback private. She had not canceled, and I could not rebook the property or try to salvage the situation, so I denied her request. This is what I posted for her review. Unfortunately, Danielle stated that she did not feel comfortable and left before I could help in any way. Unfortunately, she did not cancel the reservation, and I was unable to offer her any recompense if another person booked. 3 hours after arriving and departing, she asked for a significant amount of the reservation back and stated she would prefer to keep her feedback private. As a fellow host, she should recognize how that sounds. Give me my money back, and I won't leave a bad review. That is against Airbnb standards and conditions. Hundreds of guests have stayed with us in the past 3 years we have been in operation, and my reviews speak for themselves. This walks the knife's edge, folks. I would not suggest it. While I knew better, I was also grumpy over the whole bad neighborhood thing. I live here, and I get a little defensive when people comment negatively on it, even while I understand their concerns. I should have kept it far simpler and more kind, despite her words and actions. If you suspect a critical review is coming, perhaps in your interactions with a guest, you are concerned that they will leave a critical review. Here's what I and many other hosts suggest. Delay posting your review until the review period, usually 14 days, is nearly up. Why? Airbnb lists reviews in order of date of stay. So if you wait and post at the last minute on the 14-day mark, if you have had at least 4 to 6 days in the interim that reviewed positively, the guest's negative review will not show up on the first page of reviews on your listing. If you have had as many as I do in a 2-week period, up to 14 guests, since most are here for one night, they won't see it on the second page of reviews either. This is important, since any potential guests who are reading your reviews may not see it at all. Here is a review part of the Hedy Lamarr property listing on Airbnb. It shows my 6 most recent stays. That's as far as most guests will go to dig into reviews on a listing. If you delay posting your own review of a guest until that time, and you have a relatively short turnover rate between guests, like I do, their negative review has less impact on you, since most potential guests will never see it. As I've mentioned, I live in a neighborhood in transition, one that is lower income, though gentrifying quickly. Occasionally I will have a person who fears the neighborhood and does not wish to stay. In cases like this, I don't refund unless I receive a booking in their place. I know they may have something negative to say, so I delay reviewing them until the 14th day, or sometimes not at all, and then just respond to their low review publicly and as professionally as possible. I recommend you do the same. How to handle blackmail. Blackmail. Now there's a nasty word. When I received a text from a guest stating that they really wanted to give me a positive review, but felt some discount for all the problems they had experienced was in order, I ceased communicating with them. It was blackmail, no bones about it, and said that the guest knew enough about the rental platform we were on, hint Airbnb, to know that anything less than a 4-star review was incredibly damaging and that they wanted me to give them a free stay for a 5-star review. Here's the problem with that. Even if you were willing to buy them off, there's no guarantee that if you gave them all their money back, they would leave you a 5-star review. In fact, they could take the discount or refund or whatever you gave them and still leave a 1-star review. When I get that message, I know to leave the guest a low review at the last possible minute. 14 days with Airbnb. Check the no button on whether I would ever host them again, and report them to Airbnb, and then I take the hit. In the end, the string of positive reviews overwhelms the odd, dirty dealer. Your other option is to get them to say it, in writing, that they will give you a 5-star review for a discount. Now, you can't ask them for that. They have to volunteer it. But you could write something to the extent of, so, are you saying that if I issue you a refund, you will write a 5-star review? Here you are simply parroting their words back to them. If they say yes, cease to communicate with them. When they leave a negative review, which they usually will, simply challenge the review as being against Airbnb's terms of service. More on that below. What to do about an inaccurate review. The longer you are in business, the more likely it is that you will receive an inaccurate review, or one that you feel is unfair, or even retribution for some perceived failure on your part as the host. These can be maddening, as it is often nothing you have control over. There are ongoing threads on the Facebook STR host groups on this subject. My last guest complained about sand and dust. Our property is in the desert. Or, a guest complained it smelled too much of pine. Our cabin is in the middle of a pine forest. We live in a city with all the craziness that can entail. That doesn't stop guests from freaking out over police sirens. These, while maddening, will not be removed. Frankly, anyone reading the review will probably think the guest is an idiot, but still they can rankle. Others, however, can be downright harmful. If a guest lies, for example, about the level of cleanliness or availability of amenities, sometimes you can get a review removed. I had a guest who booked our Airstream for one night, got her dates mixed up, ignored every message I sent, and showed up the following day. When I showed her that she didn't show up on the correct day, she wanted a full refund. When I would not give that to her, she asked for the cleaning fee back. I didn't have cameras mounted near the Airstream at the time, so I hadn't known if she had stayed or not. Some people are incredibly clean, so I performed the normal turnover, wash the sheets, the works. I told her this, but refunded her the cleaning fee anyway. She was so mad that she had screwed up the dates and that I hadn't given her a refund that she posted a 1-star review. I challenged it, pointing out that she had given me a 1-star rating for cleanliness, but never stepped foot inside the Airstream. Airbnb sided with me and removed her review. Understand the terms of service and use that to your advantage. Has the guest stated in correspondence that they intend to give you a critical review if you refuse to refund them? That's an automatic violation of most, if not all, online booking platforms' terms of service. Talk to customer service. Reach out to your hosting platform's customer service department and be prepared to quote the specific section of the terms of service that you believe have been violated. It helps if you can submit evidence of that violation through photos, screenshots, etc. A brief word of advice here. Be polite and kind, because these reps get a lot of abuse. I used to be in customer service. As the saying goes, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. Rinse and repeat. If the first customer service rep is unresponsive and you still feel the review is unfair, call, chat, or email again. You may very well get a different rep with a different answer. Let it go. If after one or more attempts at having the review removed has failed, let it go. Honestly, it is better to focus on the guests who will arrive today, tomorrow, and next week, rather than one lone disgruntled one who you will never see again. Focus on upping your game so that those who gush compliments vastly outnumber the complainers.